Imagine a cold, unforgiving rock miles from shore. Waves crash against its base. Gulls scream overhead. This is Alcatraz, the most infamous prison in America. They call it the Rock. I call it Hell on Earth. From 1934 to 1963, Alcatraz housed the worst of the worst: gangsters, murderers, escape artists. Men deemed too dangerous for any other prison. I was one of them. We were locked away, forgotten by the world. Surrounded by icy water and guarded by the toughest screws in the bureau, escape seemed impossible. But hope, they say, dies last. Every day on the Rock was a struggle for survival, a test of will. This is my story and the story of the men who did time alongside me. This is Alcatraz. Every day on Alcatraz started the same. The island, shrouded in mist, seemed to wake up with us. The cold, damp air seeped into our bones, a constant reminder of our isolation. Clang! The bars slammed open at 6:30 a.m. The sound echoed through the corridors, a harsh alarm clock that jolted us from our restless sleep. Another day in hell had begun. Faces etched with despair greeted the morning light. The weight of our sentences hung heavy in the air. We lined up for breakfast. No talking, no looking around. Just eat your gruel and get ready for work. The food was bland, but it was fuel for the long day ahead. Some men worked in the laundry, others in the kitchen. The work was monotonous, but it kept our hands busy and our minds occupied. Some toiled in the shops, making license plates or sewing uniforms. Each task was repetitive, a never-ending cycle of labor. Work was our only escape from the monotony. It was a brief respite from the thoughts that haunted us in our cells, and the guards, they watched our every move. Their eyes were always on us, ensuring we followed the rules to the letter. One wrong step, one infraction, and it was off to solitary. The dreaded hole where time seemed to stand still and the darkness was suffocating. After work, we ate dinner in silence. The same rules applied. No talking, no eye contact, just eat and return to your cell. Then an hour of recreation in the yard. It was our only chance to stretch our legs and feel the sun on our faces, a chance to breathe fresh air, maybe catch a glimpse of the city across the bay. The sight of freedom, so close yet so far, was a cruel reminder of what we had lost, a cruel reminder of the freedom we had lost. The city lights twinkled in the distance, mocking our captivity. At 9 p.m. the lights went out. Another day done. The darkness enveloped us and the silence was deafening. Another night to lie awake, listening to the waves crashing against the rock. The sound was a constant reminder of our isolation, a lullaby of despair. Alcatraz was home to some of the most notorious criminals in American history. This isolated island prison, surrounded by the cold, treacherous waters of San Francisco Bay, was designed to be inescapable. It was a place where the most dangerous and infamous criminals were sent to be forgotten, to be broken. Al Capone, Scarface himself, spent 4 years here. Once the most feared gangster in America, Capone's time on the Rock was a stark contrast to his life of luxury and power. He was no longer the kingpin of Chicago, but just another inmate, stripped of his influence and control. The guards broke him, they said, stripped him of his power and his ego. Capone, who once commanded armies of men, was reduced to a shadow of his former self. The isolation and the strict regime of Alcatraz took a toll on his health and spirit. Then there was George Machine Gun Kelly, a notorious gangster. He was said to be terrified of the Rock. Known for his violent past and ruthless nature, Kelly found himself in a place where his reputation meant nothing. The fearsome gangster was reduced to a man constantly looking over his shoulder. He spent his days reading and writing letters, a far cry from his violent past. The man who once wielded a machine gun now held a pen, pouring his thoughts onto paper. It was a transformation that spoke volumes about the power of Alcatraz to change even the most hardened criminals. Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz, was another infamous inmate. Stroud was a convicted murderer who found an unlikely passion in the study of birds. His story is one of the most fascinating to come out of Alcatraz. He never actually had birds on Alcatraz, but he did study them during his time in Leavenworth. His work with birds earned him a reputation as an expert, and he even wrote 2 books on the subject. Stroud's transformation from a violent criminal to a respected ornithologist is a testament to the complexities of human nature. He was a complex figure, a man of contradictions. Brilliant but troubled, a convicted murderer who found solace in birds. Stroud's story is a reminder that even in the darkest places there can be light. His intellectual pursuits provided him with a sense of purpose and identity that transcended his criminal past. These were just a few of the men I knew on Alcatraz, each with their own story, each a reminder that even in the darkest places humanity persists. The walls of Alcatraz held many secrets, and the stories of its inmates are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the harsh conditions and the isolation, these men found ways to survive, to adapt, and in some cases to transform. Alcatraz was designed to break men. The cells were small and cramped, barely big enough to turn around in. The walls were cold, hard concrete, the bars thick steel. The dining hall was a vast, echoing space, filled with the clatter of metal trays and the murmur of forced silence. The exercise yard, a small concrete enclosure open to the elements. Everything about Alcatraz was designed to remind you that you were caged, trapped. It was a place of constant surveillance, where every move was watched, every word scrutinized. The physical reality of Alcatraz was harsh, unforgiving, but it was the psychological toll that truly broke men. They called it the Hole, a place of utter darkness and despair located deep within the bowels of Alcatraz. It was solitary confinement at its most brutal. No light, no sound, no human contact. If you broke the rules, if you stepped out of line, you were sent to the Hole. Days turned into nights, time lost all meaning. You ate, slept, and defecated in the same tiny space. The only sounds, the drip of water and the gnawing of your own thoughts. The Hole was designed to break you, to strip you of your sanity and your will. Some men emerged broken, others forever changed. The Hole was a constant threat, a reminder of the price of defiance. Section 6, Mental Anguish, the Invisible Bars. The physical hardships of Alcatraz were nothing compared to the mental anguish. The isolation, the boredom, the constant fear. It gnawed at you day after day. The silence was deafening, the only sounds, the clanging bars and the screams of gulls. We were cut off from the world, from our families, from everything that made life worth living. The guards, with their cold eyes and their even colder hearts, were our only companions. Some men lost their minds, others their hope. The mental torture was a slow, insidious poison. It seeped into your soul, leaving you hollow and broken. Section 7, a glimmer of light, small mercies and moments of humanity. Even in the depths of Alcatraz there were glimmers of light, small acts of kindness, moments of shared humanity. Despite the harsh conditions and the ever-present sense of isolation, the inmates found ways to connect with each other. These connections were their lifelines, their means of survival in a place designed to break the human spirit. A whispered joke during mealtime, these small moments of levity were rare but cherished. They provided a brief escape from the grim reality of their surroundings. A smuggled book passed from cell to cell. Literature became a form of rebellion, a way to keep their minds sharp and their spirits unbroken. Each book was a treasure, a link to the outside world and a reminder of life beyond the prison walls. A game of chess in the yard. These games were more than just a pastime. They were a mental exercise, a way to strategize and think several moves ahead. Much like their daily struggle for survival, we clung to these moments, these small acts of defiance against the crushing despair. They were our way of asserting our humanity in a place that sought to strip it away. They reminded us that we were still human, that we could still feel joy, even if only for a fleeting moment. These smiles were rare but powerful, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, that even in the darkest of places hope could survive. Hope was a fragile thing, but it was also incredibly resilient. It could be found in the most unexpected places, in the smallest of gestures. The library was a sanctuary for many. It was a place where we could escape, if only in our minds. The books offered a window to the world outside, a world we longed to return to. A place to escape the confines of our cells and lose ourselves in the pages of a book. Each story was a journey, a brief respite from the harsh reality of our lives. The music, too, offered solace. It was a universal language, one that could transcend the walls and bars that confined us. On Sundays, we would gather in the hall and listen to the prison band. For a few hours, the music would transport us to another place, a place where we could forget our troubles and just be. For a few precious hours, we could forget where we were and just be. These moments were fleeting, but they were enough to sustain us, to give us the strength to face another day. Section 8. Escape from Alcatraz Legends and Legacies. Alcatraz was thought to be inescapable. Surrounded by icy water and patrolled by armed guards, it seemed like a fortress. But that didn't stop men from trying. Over the years, there were 14 escape attempts involving 36 men. Most were caught or killed. But the fate of 3 men remains a mystery. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers vanished in 1962. They used spoons to tunnel out of their cells and left behind dummy heads made of soap and hair. Did they make it? The FBI says no. The currents, the cold, the distance, all against them, but the legend persists. The escape from Alcatraz became a symbol of the indomitable human spirit, a testament to the fact that even in the face of impossible odds, hope never truly dies. Section 9. Locking the gates, the end of an era. In 1963, Alcatraz closed its doors for good. The cost of maintaining the prison, coupled with its aging infrastructure, led to its demise. The Rock, once a symbol of fear and isolation, became a tourist attraction. Today, people flock to Alcatraz, eager to catch a glimpse of its dark past. They wander through the empty cells and the silent corridors, imagining the lives of the men who were imprisoned there. But for me, Alcatraz will always be a place of shadows and memories. A stark reminder of the human capacity for both good and evil. It is a place that will forever be etched in my mind, a chilling testament to the enduring power of hope, even in the